Where, oh, where did you go? I heard you when you fell, but I can't find you. I know you're hiding somewhere, so come on out. 'Cause I need you. That's without a doubt. Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Papaw's Place. As always, if this is your first time here, thanks for dropping in. Hit that subscribe button below, ring that notification bell, and drop in anytime you feel, my friend. Guys, today we finna put us a carburetor on my LA150 here. And I got this old lawnmower. It'd been setting up for probably about 15 years. All the green paint had come off of it, sitting on flats. Army Dealers done dug a hole and the deck was half under the dirt. And the people I mowed for, this was sitting in that little shed out there, and I asked them about it. Asked them how much would they take for it. I wanted to try to get this deck and put on my other little John Deere. I think it's a LA150. Well, I brought it home and I, of course, took the deck off, checked it out, and the deck looked good, even though it'd been covered up with dirt and such. Well, after I done that, I got to looking at it. I said, I wonder, this thing ain't got but like 100 hours on it, barely over 100. I wonder if this thing will run. So like I said, it was sitting on flats, tires dry rotted, so I aired them up. One of them leaking pretty bad, the other's held up for a little while. So I squirted me some juice in that carburetor and hooked the jumper cables to it, and that thing fired up. I said, well, So I got it out that day and I took the carburetor off, took it apart, cleaned it, put it back on, and sure enough, it cranked up and run. That would run enough that I could tell if the hydraulics was good and it was going to go and all that kind of stuff. So after I got it running pretty good, I changed the oil in it, because like I said, it's been sitting up for all them years. I changed the oil. I didn't have an oil filter, but I just drained the old oil out and put some new oil in it, and put me a little Marvel's Mystery Oil in my oil. Put some fresh gas in it, put a little Marvel's Mystery Oil in that gas. Well, first I drained the old gas out, what was in there, which wasn't very much. Just settlement in the hose, I think. The rest of the tank done evaporated. But I got it running, and then I went and bought a big old bottle of slime and put in these tires, 3 of them, and then the other one, I think one of them on the back, I put a tube in. And I used this and I made a spraying rig out of it, because I spray equipment yards. And I already had this set up so I could put it on my Spartan zero turn, because they come with hitches on them. But it's hard to drive a zero turn with one hand and spray. So I wanted to make a spraying tractor out of this. I welded me a hitch right here and got some braces going down to the little hitch part there where it's good and stout. This is a 15-gallon tank. Well, I didn't run it long that day up there on my first little spraying trip, and it started cutting out and missing. So I come home, took the carburetor back off, gave it a good cleaning, but I didn't have no new gaskets or anything. I put it back together, and sometimes it'll run smooth and sometimes it won't. So I just ordered me a whole carburetor off Amazon, one of them Chinese made carburetors, which I've had good luck doing that myself. But if we've been to change the carburetor on this LA150, it would be the exact same process on a lot of double barrel carburetors, 2-cylinder motors. So even if yours ain't an LA150, we're going to show you how easy and quick it is to change. So first we're going to remove the hood, unplug the headlights. One of them still works. And we're going to get y'all over here and start disassembling this. So the first thing we're going to remove is the breather cover right here. On this one's 4 screws with your hand knobs here, some differently. This here is the Briggs and Stratton's 26 horsepower overhead cam twin. Says built just for John Deere. So we're going to remove that, and we're going to remove the air filter, because this little package I bought off Amazon come with a new air filter, fuel filter, oil filter, plugs, and everything. So next we're going to take an 8mm, and I'm going to be using my little Cobalt speed ratchet. Remove these 4 screws. And that just takes your flywheel grill there off. And up next we're going to zap out these, what is it, 6 number 10 screws that holds the top cowling on. Now that back one I can't get with the speed wrench. So I just use my ratchet with my number 10 on it to remove these back 2, one on each side. After you remove them 6 number 10 bolts, or at least they number 10s on this particular one, we're going to use a straight screwdriver, and there's 1 screw right here that holds your cowling on to the top of the carburetor. We're going to remove that 1 screw, and we should be able to lift this right off, just like that. Now we're right here at the carburetor, double barrel carburetor. Hope y'all can see this good enough. Next we're going to remove the fuel line. Pull it off, fold it over out of the way. Then next we're going to go back to our number 10. And you got 4 bolts right here to move, 2 on each side. You got 2 on each side, 1 up high and 1 down low. And I can get a couple of them with the speed wrench. The 2 up high. But then the 2 on the bottom, I'm going to have to use a regular wrench to back them out. And them are actually 3/8. Or at least that's what I'm using. I didn't bring a millimeter this size, so I'm using a 3/8 wrench. I used to have a 3/8 ratchet wrench. It'd be nicer. Now that them's removed, right up under the bottom here is where your choke hooks to. We're going to take a star wrench and unhook that so we can unhook the cable from the carburetor. Now I'm not exactly sure what size star wrench this is. It ain't a 1/4. I just stick one until I find the one that fits. And we're going to get that cable out, and we're going to pull out on the carburetor, and we're going to tilt it to get that cable unhooked. It's got the little crooky-do in the end of it. And then we got the other little wire that goes down here to your governor right here. So now we got that off. So next we're going to flip it up like that right there, and we're going to use a 10mm and remove your air box. I'm calling it an air box. And actually that ain't no 10, that's a 12. Actually guys, that's 11. And now I'm gonna move locations and set this up on a table. So we're gonna move up here on the table now, guys. Then we're gonna pull that right there off. There should be a new gasket in here for that. This little kit comes with a new carburetor, gaskets, all the gaskets you need, 2 fuel filters, 2 spark plugs, an oil filter, and an air filter, and I think it was less than $40. Now you can't go wrong with that, even if I just bought it and got some parts out of the carburetor, to tell you the truth. But next up, we're going to be using a number 4mm to unfasten these bolts that fastens your carburetor right here onto, I don't know what you want to call these pipes, air ducts going to your exhaust, going to your intakes right here. We're going to see if we can zap them out. And now we got to remove, this would be our throttle linkage, just like so. And we'll take these 4 bolts out. And there's the old carburetor. I'll put that right there in that box. Now we need to get a new gasket to go between the carburetor and the intake. It comes with 8 different gaskets here. The old gasket came off with the carburetor. And I think I need to put this gasket on before I screw the carburetor to the intake, just like so. So it seems that they sent an extra of each of these gaskets. But y'all know what? I forgot to hook the linkage in, so I got to undo that. Why didn't y'all tell me? I know somebody watched me do that and didn't tell me that I needed to put the linkage back in. Now I gotta get my gasket line back up under there. And we'll try this one more time. Now I do notice something that's a little different on this carburetor. And that's how the linkage is here. This linkage has 2 holes. But I figure that's because they made it to where to work on different model lawnmowers. It seems to be working right. So we're going to continue forward. So we're gonna give him just a little snug. Correction number 2. That gasket actually didn't have to be put on before them, because them counters sink down into the carburetor. But I didn't run the gasket. Now we're going back on. After I clean this old gasket off, I'm gonna clean that off, and then I'll get back with y'all. And we're gonna be going on with this. So I'm gonna have one extra gasket. I don't know what the one extra gasket's for. Oh, I know where it goes, because I didn't remove the intake. So I'm assuming that may be for a different model lawnmower, but it looks just like that one right there. No, the one I put on this side. It's just like the one I put on that side. Anyway, I ain't needing it. I'm gonna go clean this up, then I'll be right back. So I got that cleaned up pretty fair well, guys. And I'm losing my mind, because I already put that gasket on there, so I am gonna have 2 extra gaskets, one of each. Boy, I'm losing my mind, ain't I? Y'all can tell I'm not a real mechanic. That's why I'm out here under the shade tree. It's called shade tree mechanic. Going back on with them bolts. We're gonna use our little speed zapper here. All them knees is a little snug. You want to double check them, you can put a wrench on there. That's 11 or 7/16. And now we are ready to go back to the lawnmower. Now, I thought this kit, no, it didn't come with it, and I didn't order them. That's all right. The plugs in the mower looks like new. I still may change them, I don't know. We'll see how she runs when we get this back together. So guys, I'm coming back apart with this. We ain't gonna have no gaskets left over. I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention, guys. So let's take this bag off. And right up under here, we're gonna have one gasket right there. And then it's got this other little gasket here that's a metal gasket. Pull that little plastic off of it. And it's gonna go on there just like that. Then put that gasket back on. And we go back together. Just a little bump in the road, that's all. But I caught it before I continued forward. Now we're gonna give him a little tightening. Then we're going back on with this gasket right here. Then we're going back on just like so. And I'm gonna still end up with one extra gasket unless I find out where it goes later. Now we're going to move back over here to the lawnmower and start reassembling. So I don't know why I have one extra gasket, which is just like the same one I just put on right there last. These two will go over here, like so. So let's go to the lawnmower now. But now we got to attach the governor. Thanky Dooley here. That sounds like a good name to me. Then we got to lay that over on the side a little bit and get that end done. This is the hardest one for me to get lined up. I'm sure it's an easier way to do it than what I'm doing. I might need to stick the bottom in there first and then see if I can stand this up and get that one in there. Not really sure the easiest way to do this. Some of you lawnmower mechanics might can leave me a comment and tell me the easier way to do it next time. That don't seem to be working though. So I'm gonna go back in with that. Fold it right back down there like that. So the other day when I cleaned the carburetor, this is how I done it. Now I did have to give it a little bend and then bend it back to do it this way, and I know that ain't the way you're supposed to do it. But that's the way this shade tree mechanic's doing it. Just like that. And bend it back straight. Now we're gonna get our two intake gaskets. Get one of them on just like so. See if I can get it started. Get the other intake gasket, get the top bolt started on it. Then we're going to try to twist the bottom of that gasket around. Stick the bottom bolt in. Uh-oh. Drop that. I know y'all can't see this part, but I'm just kind of feeling and I keep dropping the bolt. Sometimes in mechanic work, you just got to feel what you're doing. All right, I got that started. Now I got to find the bolt to drop for the other side. Where, oh, where did you go? I heard you when you fell, but I can't find you. I know you're hiding somewhere, so come on out. 'Cause I need you, that's without a doubt. Where, oh, where did the boat go? I heard you when you fell a few minutes ago. I really need to find you, 'cause I need you so. Show up, little boat, so we can get on with this show. Alright guys, I done lost the boat in here somewhere. I don't know where it went. It was right there, so it had to fall right down through there. Guys, you ain't gonna believe this. I looked for that boat for 15 minutes down on the ground, almost on my belly. And it was laying right up here the whole time. So now let's see if we can continue on with the show. All right, so now we're going back with the fuel line. Guys, one thing before you start putting your cowling on, make sure to get your breather hose right back here on the back. Put back in. That would be that little hose right there. Okay guys, one of the last things before we start putting the cowling on is to hook your wire back up. But with this new carburetor, I don't know if the bottom was on different, but instead of taking it back off, I just extended one of my wires here so I could get it plugged back in. And it may just be something to do with this aftermarket carburetor, but either way it worked. And then we're gonna go back on with the little cowling and get my 6 bolts put back in. I probably should stop at this point right here and see if it's gonna fire up, but I'm gonna go on and put it together. Next, we're gonna go on with our little grill guard up here. Fan guard. Flywheel guard. But it's a flywheel fan guard. I'm gonna use this number 8 and dip them down. Then we're gonna go on and put our new air filter in there. And we're gonna put the filter cover top on. And what we got left, the choke cable. Now I got to get the choke cable. Using a little star wrench, tighten that back down. It may end up not being, I may have to give it an adjustment. I may not get it back in the same spot it was right off the bat. Alright guys, we're finna see if this Chinese carburetor works. I need to dial it down just a little bit. There we go. Well guys, a real lawnmower mechanic could have probably swapped that out in about 20 minutes. But with me, a shade tree mechanic, fooled around over there figuring the gaskets out and stuff. And then dropped my boat and hooked for it about 20 minutes. And if it had been a snake, it would have been popping me right on the end of my nose, because it didn't fall nowhere. It was just laying right there up under it. And I thought it fell on down, so I was on the ground rolling around and everything else looking for a boat. But as y'all seen, it cranked up and it's running smoother now. I had took that carburetor off twice and cleaned it, but yet I didn't have no new gaskets. And one of the little gaskets in the inside part, which is after you remove the internal part, is I think all my problem was, because it looked real rough, and when I cleaned it with that carburetor cleaner, it done gummed up that little gasket. But I went on and just bought the whole carburetor there, air filter, oil filter, plugs, 2 fuel filters was less than $40. Now some people have negative things to say about them China made carburetors, but I put them on several different things in the last several years, and I had one issue one time when I still ended up fixing my little motor, because I took the parts out of the new China made carburetor and they fit in my other carburetor, and it fixed that. I think that was on a little power plant. But as always, I hope that helps somebody out. That particular carburetor will fit on several different horsepower engines and several different brands, not just John Deere. That's a Briggs and Stratton's built for John Deere, but it also fit Husqvarna's and other motors as such. That's something you would need to look into. The way I've always said it, if you can figure out how to use these new cell phones nowadays, you can change the carburetor on your lawnmower and save you a couple $100. Because they're going to charge you, even though they can do that in 30 minutes, you're going to get charged an hour and a half, 2 hours on labor. But as always, if you enjoy these little videos, please give me a thumbs up. If you ain't never subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Don't cost you a thing. Never know what you may see me doing here at Papaw's place. And I hope this helps somebody out. So I hope y'all have a great day and a blessed week. God bless. See y'all next time.